Hollywood loves an archetype, the ingenue, the rebel, the queen, the villain. For a while, Anne Hathaway seemed to fit perfectly into the role of the modern fairy tale heroine, a woman who could do no wrong.
Oh, shit.
That one's moving away from us.
She was talented, articulate, polished, the perfect success story. But somewhere between admiration and exhaustion, something shifted. The same media that once celebrated her began to mock her. The public's affection curdled into annoyance, and soon, one of Hollywood's most promising stars became one of its most ridiculed. They even gave it a name, Hathahate. It was one of the strangest cultural backlashes of the 2010s.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan, and it seems to me that people love to talk shit about Anne Hathaway without any rational reason.
A collective dislike that no one could fully explain, yet everyone seemed to participate in. This is not a story about failure or scandal. It's a story about perception, about what happens when the image of perfection collides with a culture obsessed with authenticity. When The Princess Diaries premiered in 2001, Anne Hathaway was barely out of high school. She played Mia Thermopolis, the awkward teen who discovers she's secretly royalty. It wasn't just a film, it was an introduction. The perfect Hollywood debut for an actress the press would soon crown as America's new sweetheart. But Hathaway wasn't content to stay in a tiara. Within a few years, she reinvented herself. She took on more serious roles. Brokeback Mountain in 2005, The Devil Wears Prada in 2006. The latter became a cultural landmark, pairing her with Meryl Streep and defining the early 2000s fashion era. Critics praised her poise and intelligence. She was likable, articulate, trained, a classically skilled actress in an era that prized rawness and edge. But there's a quiet danger in being universally admired. When someone becomes too polished, too good, the audience starts to search for the flaw, because perfection, especially in women, is rarely celebrated for long. In 2012, Hathaway gave the performance of her career. Her role as Fantine in Les Miserables was devastating, physical, emotional, and stripped of glamour. She lost weight, cut her hair, and sang live through tears. The Academy loved it. Critics called it transcendent, and by early 2013, her Oscar win felt inevitable. But this is where admiration began to turn sour. It was supposed to be a moment of triumph. Instead, it became a meme. Online commentators called her rehearsed, inauthentic, even insufferable. A BuzzFeed article titled, "Why Do We Hate Anne Hathaway?" went viral that same year. The site's editors couldn't quite explain it. They described her as too eager, too polished, and too perfect. It was a strange double standard. Actors campaign for Oscars all the time. That's part of Hollywood's machinery. But when Hathaway did it, it seemed to bother people. Her sincerity read as strategy. Her poise was mistaken for performance. And what began as quiet irritation soon exploded into full-blown backlash. By 2013, social media had become the new cultural megaphone, and Anne Hathaway was one of its earliest cautionary tales. This was the peak of Tumblr humor, of BuzzFeed list, of that early internet cynicism that thrived on tearing down sincerity. The word cringe was everywhere, and Hathaway, earnest, emotional, and overly rehearsed, became its embodiment. The late-night circuit joined in. Jimmy Kimmel Live aired a parody sketch. Magazines ran polls asking readers why she was so annoying. On forums, users speculated that she reminded people of theater kids who try too hard. It's easy to laugh it off as harmless, but what was happening to Hathaway was something deeper, a collective act of projection. Psychologists call it tall poppy syndrome, the instinct to cut down people who rise too high. There's a kind of resentment toward perfection, especially when it's performed by women who appear in control. Hathaway represented discipline, grace, intelligence, all things we're told to admire, yet often punished once they appear effortless. At the same time, another actress, Jennifer Lawrence, was dominating headlines for being the opposite, clumsy, spontaneous, relatable. The contrast was too tempting for the internet to resist. Lawrence was the cool girl, Hathaway the try too hard. And so, a narrative took shape. If Lawrence was authentic, Hathaway must be fake. The truth, of course, was far simpler and far sadder. Hathaway wasn't performing sincerity. She was just being who she'd always been. Polished, articulate, eager to please in an industry that demands perfection and then mocks you for achieving it. The media doesn't just report trends, it amplifies them. Once the internet labeled Hathaway as unlikable, traditional outlets followed. Talk show hosts made jokes about her Oscar speeches. Fashion commentators mocked her red carpet enthusiasm. Tabloid headlines shifted from praise to ridicule. It's a pattern we've seen countless times. Once a celebrity is branded as a try too hard or phony, everything they do becomes filtered through that lens. When Hathaway co-hosted the 2011 Oscars with James Franco, critics slammed the show. Franco's detached sarcasm was praised as cool. Hathaway's cheerfulness was called painful. The double standard was striking. His aloofness was charm. Her enthusiasm was cringe. By 2013, even the word Hathaway became shorthand for overexposure. Media scholars later called it a cultural saturation point. She had done nothing wrong, except exist too brightly in a world that had decided to dim her. The machinery of mockery was in motion. The same cameras that once celebrated her now hunted for the smallest trace of awkwardness. And that's when she disappeared. For nearly 2 years after her Oscar win, Anne Hathaway retreated from public life. She stopped attending major events. She avoided the spotlight entirely. When she finally returned, it wasn't with a defensive statement or rebrand. It was with quiet confidence, choosing roles that subtly reflected the absurdity of fame itself. In Ocean's 8, she played an actress mocked for being fake, a satirical nod to her own reputation. In interviews, she began to address Hathahate directly, not with bitterness, but with insight. In a 2014 Guardian interview, she said, "People had this perception of me as this stuck-up, princessy person. Maybe I played into it. Maybe I just look like that kind of person. But I learned something. I can't control what people project onto me." It was a moment of quiet clarity. Not defiance, not apology, just understanding. In the years since, Hathaway has rebuilt her image not by reinventing herself, but by embracing the very qualities that once made her a target. She still smiles too wide, she still gives rehearsed speeches, but she also owns it. She learned that perfection doesn't protect you from hate, it invites it. And resilience, not relatability, is what survives the cycle. The Hathaway backlash wasn't an isolated event. It was a symptom of a larger pattern, a cultural addiction to tearing people down once they've been built up. We saw it with Britney, with Lindsay, with Taylor. Each time the pattern repeats. We crown them, consume them, then crucify them for being exactly what we asked them to be. Psychologists describe this as the authenticity paradox. We crave celebrities who feel real, but when they show too much emotion, we call it performance. When they try to be polished, we call it fake. No one can win. Anne Hathaway became a mirror, reflecting back our discomfort with sincerity. Her so-called hate phase revealed something about the audience, not the actress. We are drawn to the idea of perfection, but repelled by the people who embody it. We praise humility, but secretly crave spectacle. And when someone holds themselves with too much grace, we call it arrogance, because it reminds us of what we lack. That's what made Hathahate so revealing. It wasn't hatred, it was projection. The audience's frustration with its own contradictions. In the end, Anne Hathaway didn't change. We did. The internet that once mocked her now celebrates her resilience. Her story has become a case study in media overexposure and the cost of authenticity. But underneath it all, there's a quieter truth. The hate was never really about her voice, or her smile, or her speeches. It was about what we project on the people who seem to have it all, and the discomfort that perfection provokes in an imperfect world. The media mocked her for trying too hard, but what she really did was hold up a mirror and forced us to look. Because that's what the famous do, whether they want to or not. They become screens onto which we cast our envy, our insecurity, and our longing for something real. And in that reflection, we see not Anne Hathaway, but ourselves.